Hello. This video is for IXL activity 7.C.9. It's titled Subtract Integers. The three-character code for this activity is Hotel Echo Uniform, HEU. All right. For subtracting integers, my suggestion, and the way I like to approach it, and the way I think it's best to approach it, is to change all of the subtraction over to addition. And then once we have addition of integers instead of subtraction of integers, then we'll go ahead and we'll apply those addition rules. So on this first one here, remember to change it over to addition. We can change the sign and then take the opposite of the following number. So -2 minus 5, we're going to do -2. Change the subtraction to addition, and then take the opposite of the number that follows it. And the opposite of +5 is -5. So then we end up with an addition problem instead of a subtraction problem. So now we learned in the addition of integers that if the signs are the same, then the answer is going to have the same sign. So both these are negative, so this is going to be a negative result. And then we just go ahead and add them together. Well, 2 plus 5 is 7. So -2 plus -5 equals -7, which is the exact same thing as -2 minus 5 is -7 as well. If you think of a number line on this and we start at, well, here's 0, and then here's -2, and then we're going to subtract, that means we got to go back this way, 5, then we're going to end up down here at -7. And likewise, if we were to apply that same concept of adding, remember, if we're adding a negative number, then it goes to the left, so we'd still go to the left, so you end up with the same result. On the next problem, we have -10, and we're going to change the subtraction to addition. Take the opposite of -8, which is +8, and now we have another rule that we have another rule that we have to incorporate here. And that rule is that if they're different, one's positive, one's negative, then we're going to subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value. So in this case, -10 has an absolute value, right? Let's a little bit of refresher here. The absolute value of -10 is 10, and the absolute value of +8 is 8. So now we're going to subtract the lesser value, or that is to say the lesser absolute value, from the greater absolute value. So 10 minus 8 is 2. And then what sign it has depends upon which absolute value, good way to say this, depends upon which value has the greater absolute value. There we go. So -10 had a greater absolute value, so it's going to win out. So the answer is going to be -2. Let's move on to the next one. 4 minus 3. Well, many of you probably want to have to change that one over, right? We just say, okay, that's going to be 1. That's kind of not too difficult there. We could have changed that to 4 plus, and then take the opposite of 3, which is -3, and we'd see the answer is still, not -1. The answer is still +1. All right, and next one, -7. Let's change the subtraction to addition. Take the opposite of the value that follows that subtraction sign that we changed to addition, and that's going to be -8. So we know that they are both the same sign. They're both negative, so the sum will be negative. And 7 plus 8 is 15, so we end up with a -15. Here we have 42 minus -46, so we're going to change this to 42. Let's change the sign to addition. Take the opposite of -46, and that would be +46. Now they are both the same sign. They're both positive. So the answer is going to be positive. And then I could stack these up. I could just say 6 plus 2 is 8, and 4 plus 4 is 8. So we're going to end up with an answer of a positive 88. On the next one, numbers just start to get bigger, so we might have to stack these up and do some addition or subtraction. And we have -936. Let's change the sign to addition. Take the opposite of the number that follows, which is 114. It's going to be -114. And now since they're both negative, the answer is going to be negative. And since they're both the same sign, we're going to add these. So 936, 144, or not 144, 114, right? Here we go, 114. And remember, we're adding those. So 6 plus 4 is 10. We're going to carry the 1. 3, 4, 5. And 9 plus 1 is 10. So our answer is negative 1,050. So we'll put that in the box here, negative 1,050. I advise you, if you can do some of these in your head, especially 4 minus 3, you probably do that in your head, no problem. But whenever it gets to a little more difficult in the higher smart score questions, be sure to go ahead and get a pencil and paper and write those down and work them out on paper. Okay, these are our last two questions here. So we're going to start with the negative 539. We're going to change the subtraction to addition. We're going to take the opposite of the number that follows. So that's negative 349. So we're going to make that positive 349. And now they are different signs. The absolute value, 539, absolute value 539 is going to be, or the absolute value of negative 539 is going to be a positive 539. And the absolute value of 349 is going to be, well, 349, right? Absolute values are always positive. In this case, 539 is greater than 349, so the negative is going to win out. So our answer will be negative. And since they are different, we need to subtract those. So we'll take 539, subtract from that 349. 9 minus 9 is 0. We're going to need to borrow from the 5. This will become a 13. 13 minus 4 is 9. And 4 minus 3 is 1. So it's a negative 190. So negative 190. And then finally, our last question here. We have a negative 547. Going to change the subtraction to addition. Take the opposite of the following number. So that's going to be negative 677. So they're both the same sign, so we are going to add them. And since they're both negative, our answer will be negative. So let's stack those up, 547 and 677. And we're going to add these together because they're the same sign. Over here we were subtracting because they were different signs. So 7 plus 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 4 more is 12. Carry the 1. And 5 and 1 is 6. And 6 and 6 is 12. So it's going to be a negative 1,224. We'll throw that in the box there. Negative 1,224. All right, those are all of my examples for IXL 7.C.9, subtract integers. Remember, the key thing here is to change all the subtraction problems over to addition problems. Whenever we change the subtraction sign, we have to take the opposite of the number that follows it, and then follow the rules for addition. Same sign, the answer is going to, if they're the same signs, the answer will have that same sign, and if they're the same signs, we're going to add. And then if they are different signs, then the value with the greatest, the add-in with the greatest absolute value is the sign that's going to win out. So in this case, that negative 10 has a greater absolute value than positive 8. So the answer is going to be negative, and if they're different, we're going to subtract. And so we went ahead and subtract to get the positive 2. Good luck with your activity.